Well, President Biden and the White House have issued a warning this morning. It's about cyber attacks. They say, the president yesterday speaking about this very issue, saying that cyber attacks are coming. Get ready. If you are worried about what Vladimir Putin is going to be doing to the Ukrainian people, maybe you should also start paying attention to your businesses, because Russian cyber attacks, he says, are coming against the United States and Western allies very, very soon.
That's right. But he says we are ready for cyber warfare. We think that this is Russia's next move, as if they haven't already been doing this. And the United States does it in kind, make no mistake. But he's saying it's really not our problem, you guys. They're going to do it. So you need to get your IT group in order, pull them out and say, hey, is all of our software secure? Train your businesses in order to make sure that your employees don't click on suspicious links. And, that it's coming. But he specifically said, it's your responsibility, not ours. Like, we've warned you. They're going to do it, which is total crap, because the government has been actively buying bugs into software for years. They also participate in cyber warfare. And so if you're already in this war, right, then absolutely it is the government's. So, there's research out there that the government buys what they call a 0 day, which is hackers go around hacking everything they can find, and then they'll find, say, a vulnerability in Outlook, Microsoft Outlook, or an app on the Apple App Store, or whatever it is, right, an operating system. And they'll put it on the open market, and governments will buy it so that they have the ability to hack into whatever they want from you. It's not just the NSA, like Edward Snowden told us. Multiple government agencies buy the same bugs, but they don't speak to each other. So they take your tax dollars, they buy into the vulnerabilities, they keep them to spy on you, they continue then to weaken security around the world, but it's not their problem if you get hacked.
No, as Nicole Perlroth writes in her great book, This Is How They Tell Me the World Ends, she highlights this, and she specifically goes into detail about Stuxnet, of course, which was the United States going on the offensive against Iran. And as she points out in the book, she says, this was something that George W. Bush put in place, and then he turned the keys over to President Obama. He wanted to meet with President Obama at the White House, and there were two things that he wanted him to continue. Most importantly was the cyber warfare against Iran, and putting this virus inside of the centrifuges in their nuclear program, so that these centrifuges would spin and then basically fall off their axis and break. So they were constantly having to replace these centrifuges. That's because we had an exploit. We had a 0 day exploit that went right into the hardware specifically and did that. Well, then it got out. Then they never actually planned that what happens if someone plugs like a USB drive into one of these computers in the centrifuge area. Guess what? Then it gets out. And then it starts infecting companies all over the world. Tens of thousands of computers all over the world, thanks to the United States going into Iran. So companies that had nothing to do with Iran, American citizens that had nothing to do with Iran, got destroyed as a result of Stuxnet because of what the United States has done. So this idea that the United States, we don't have any involvement in this. We don't have
and they release this sort of 10-point, talking points, like just make sure your passwords are good and you're using VPNs, right? When they know very well that the most secure hackers and the most aggressive governments can get past that in a second. They've been buying ways to do it. In fact, in the same book, she says that in the 1990s, the Pentagon's military budget was chipped by a third, with cyber being the one exception. She says Congress continues to approve vague cybersecurity budgets without much grasp of how dollars funneled into offense or defense, or what cyber conflict necessarily entails, right? So your tax dollars are being funneled into cyber warfare in redundant ways, buying the same vulnerabilities in different departments. They continue to do it and they keep it. And the United States, when we're really talking about cyber military force, Russia and the United States are kind of equals, right? They can do the exact same thing to one another. And if that happens, you saw in 2007 or 2017, when almost the entire country of Ukraine was shut down by Russia. Nobody really remembers this, but all they had to do was flip a switch. Every single computer in Ukraine went down. Every gas pump, every heater went down, right? They absolutely can do that. And most experts say that that was practice. The United States could do it too. And so it's kind of hypocritical for them to say, oh, but just be careful. But in fact, the State Department did say, to be clear, there's no intelligence that there will be a cyber attack on critical infrastructure, meaning we think your heating will be okay.
But you remember what happened on the East Coast during, I don't remember what year it was, like 2004, 2005 on the East Coast of the United States with a great blackout. New York City went black. That's where, there's the musical In the Heights that's based on that, when everything went dark in Harlem and all of that. And it was blamed. That whole thing smelled off to me. Like it was just the power plant. Faulty infrastructure as it related to Niagara Falls up into Canada. We tried to blame Canada for it. Remember, it was like, let's blame Canada.
Yeah.
Really? Something just didn't smell right about that. And I love that the White House comes out with this fact sheet. And here's how you can protect yourself against cyber attacks. And if you just kind of go through a couple of the things, right? We urge companies to execute the following steps with urgency. Have multi-factor authentication in your systems.
Again, she points out in the book, they can get through that pretty easily.
You mean to tell me Putin, if they're that'll stop them, right?
Right.
I mean, give me a break. I mean, again, they're buying these 0-day exploits on the black market. They have access to it. A two-factor authentication system isn't going to stop my grandmother from breaking.
You know what?
It's ridiculous.
I can't wait to see are when they come out with this for the space. The reason for the Space Force, how to protect yourself from aliens.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, they can't hack your password. I was saying to Clayton last night, after reading this book, I went on my app, set our home alarm system. And I was like, this feels like an exercise in futility, because I know that the right cyber thug could just disarm my alarm and get in if they wanted to. It's more like, the junkie off the street that's going to be deterred by the alarm, not really a cyber criminal. But at the same, she gives this anecdote in the book, which is so shocking. She goes and speaks to 0-Day Charlie, who is the guy who's hacked everything from the iPhone to a Jeep Cherokee, right? Meaning he hacks into it while someone's driving and can remotely drive it. This is possible. So if you're the kind of person who's like, I don't care who reads my emails. I don't either, but I do care that my phone and my car remains under my control while I'm driving my children, right? So she goes to meet with him and she says, well, because of your work with the Jeep, I asked the rental car company not to give me a Jeep. And he says, oh, what hotel are you staying at? And she tells him, and he goes, I can hack that elevator too. And so she starts taking the stairs. So you think about how much of your life is dependent on operating systems that are not secure. So this is more scary than you would think.
There's Charlie Miller. He's 0-Day Charlie. I mean, he says, you can't stop this stuff. Are you kidding me? In 2 seconds, we could, hack your car.
Yes.
Take control of everything. And you think that, and this is 5-year-old video, by the way. I mean, I did an interview with these guys, and literally drove me off into a ditch in a car. They can do this with a laptop. They can take control of these computer systems. And I love that the White House gives you this, this plan that you're going to just do some two-factor authentication and you'll be good to go.
But what is he saying that what are we supposed to be afraid of? And they might just do it, right? If they really want to, if they've practiced on Ukraine.
This is part of the narrative. This is continuing this Western narrative. You need to be scared of Putin. You need to be scared of Putin. They're coming for you. They're coming for you next.
But they can
support the move.
They can shut down your bank accounts. Absolutely. In the blink of an eye. Anything that you do that you think is secure is not. They can shut down your phone. They can get into your car. You know what they can also do?
They can also track every text message you send. They can track all of your banking. They can listen into all of your phone calls. Oh, wait a second. That's the NSA that did that we now know has
they
done
do
all of
that,
that.
right?
So,
everybody. So
I'm sorry. Who am I worried about here? Am I worried about Russia, or the NSA is already doing that? They're already tracking everything you do. I mean, who am I concerned about here?
Well, and we're also putting all these devices like Alexa and Siri and all that in our houses. We're just asking to be listened to, spied on.
Yeah.
Yes, that's not as secure as you think.
Yeah. If you like this content, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Also, we have a membership program. For the price of a cup of coffee once a month, you can support independent journalism just by going to morninginvest.com/join.
You get access to exclusive videos, plus the ability to join and chat with us live. We really appreciate your subscription, and you are supporting independent journalism.